Hi, this is John Miller, one of the pastors out at the Community Church at Saddlebrook. And it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood out here. Hot, dry. The monsoon is holding back for some reason. And so that's not good as far as most of us are concerned. But here I am again to share something with you from the Word of God, some principles for living. And I wanted to direct your attention to an interesting psalm, Psalm 90. Most people don't realize that Moses wrote some psalms, just a few, but one of those is Psalm 90, which makes it one of the oldest of all the psalms. Obviously, he existed way before David, who wrote many of the psalms. But I want to give you a little backdrop before I share with you a passage within Psalm 90. If you recall the Jewish history, when Moses led the people out of Israel, and of course Pharaoh was chasing him, and then the Red Sea event, and then they wandered around for a while, several days, and then finally ended up at the border of the Promised Land, a place called Kadesh Barnea, where they sent 12 spies in to spy out the land. God told them, hey, I'm going to give you the capacity to overcome the enemy in the Promised Land, so go in and take it, it's yours. Unfortunately, 10 of those spies came back and said, the enemy's too big. We're like grasshoppers in their sight, and we just don't believe we can defeat them. In other words, we don't believe God's big enough to defeat them. So God was angry, and he said, because of your unbelief, you are going to wander in the wilderness for 40 years, and many of you are going to die. Well, there were upwards of 1 million to 2 million Israelites at that time. And so many of them died in the wilderness over the next 40 years. And you can imagine within 40 years, that many people dying. There were burials all of the time. There were memorial services. Must have been every other day or every day as the years went by, and all of those people perished, except those who were like about under 20 years of age to one day enter the Promised Land. So, in the backdrop of all these funerals, Moses writes Psalm 90. So let me just read a couple of verses out of Psalm 90 to give you a sense of what he's dealing with. He said in verse 10, "For as the days of our life, they contain 70 years, or if due to strength, 80 years. But their pride is but labor and sorrow, for soon it is gone, and we die, we fly away." Soon it is gone, and we fly away. That's the way Moses felt about it. I mean, can you imagine how he felt about the brevity of life and dealing with people's grief during those 40 years? But he says something that is very valuable for you and me this day. He says in verse 12, "So God, teach us to number our days, that we may present to you a heart of wisdom." Teach us to number our days. In other words, teach us to make our days count. Teach us to make our life count. For one day we will present ourselves to you, and hopefully we will have lived wisely. So this is the admonition of Moses during a very dark time in the history of Israel. We're going to live so long. If strength, will live a bit longer, but soon it is gone, we fly away. So Lord, teach us to number our days. Teach us to make our life count. For one day we're going to see you, and we want to be able to present to you a life lived wisely. Well, this is the Word of God for you today, and I hope it will bless you. I hope you'll take it to heart. Have a wonderful day.